One other super cool thing that you can do is apply 3D effects to your animations. And this can come in handy if you're trying to have something move in space, like for a parallax example, or if you're trying to have something come up in the background. So for example, and you can do this on almost any layer, if I go to toggle switches and modes, you'll see this little 3D box here. And you click on that in order to enable 3D animations. And when I do that, notice that now instead of just anchor point and position having two qualities, we now have three different ones. And so I really like to use this with rotation. So for example, instead of it just being rotating on an X and Y axis, we can now rotate X, Y, and Z. And so here, if I want to rotate Y, you'll see that now I can reposition this whole form in space. And if I do it in Z, we'll see it go from side to side, and X will go forward and backwards. And notice that it is going around the specific anchor point. So I might move my anchor point down to the very bottom, and I can go to the anchor point tool, hold down Control, and move this anchor point down to the bottom here, and it'll snap. So now when I rotate the rotation, it'll come up from right here. So if I start with this at -90, so it's totally flat. Notice you can barely see it. I might have to do a little bit more. And if you hold down Control while you are changing the settings here, you'll see that it's a little bit flatter. So now, if I keyframe this, X rotation, go to 1 second, and now have this come all the way up. Let's go to 0. And I'm going to click off. And I could have this do something like slide down at the same time. So as this is coming up, it could slide down. So let's do position. So this is actually going to start a little bit lower. And let's have it slide up as it comes up. So now it feels like it's rising up as well. And I would easy ease all of these with F9. And I might even start out with this at a opacity of 0 to start out, just so we don't see it on that little corner right there. You can see a little bit there. So I would come here and then have it go to 100. We can stretch this out a little bit further. So if you were making a film about fog, this would be one way you could do it. So to change that again is using the 3D layer. And if you have multiple objects, so for example, if I had more than one background here, and I'm just going to quickly fake this, Command D, hide this one, go to my pen tool, and I'm just going to mask out this forest really quickly. I'm just doing a terrible job on this. This is something that I would want to do in Photoshop. And so notice that now that bottom part is hidden. And let's go back to subtract. Cool. So I've got that. So now, if this one was also 3D layer, and this one is here, what I could do is do something like push this one forward. But in order to see this actual one coming forward, I'm going to change my view. So I'm going to go to 2 views, horizontal, and now this is showing me my view from the top. So if you look at this moving forward, I'm on the fog one here, and this one is here, it's forward, right? Or I could slide it back, and notice that now it's moving back behind those trees. So maybe I want it to slide back also in time as well. So I'm going to start out with it here, and then when I change the position, which is what I did before, I can slide it back through where those trees were. but I might want to start with that Z position a little bit forward as well. And you can always do X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to pull it forward. So it starts out forward and then zooms back through those trees. And this is showing us a top-down view. So this is another way to just look at your layers. And this one is the forest layer. And whenever you don't change it, it just stays flat behind everything. So notice that one kind of went back through the trees. And I might actually just change this X rotation. Oh. Now you can see it moving back, but it slides back through those trees. So this is a way of playing with space, right? You could also take this one and have it increase in scale or slightly move. You know, it's really up to you how you want to move these around. And if you grab onto these handles, it's a little bit easier to move. So if I start with it there, and this one starts out a little bit more forward, like this. It's moving at a different rate. You just get a little bit more animation happening. So this is a way to position elements in space behind each other and have them move, and also do some interesting rotations.